When did you realize your friends were actually fake friends? When I slowly realized I was only around for chores and errands. Rides to the airport. Pick up furniture. Help move. Anything social always resulted in either last-minute cancellations, showing up 45 minutes late and bolting after 10 minutes. I thought they were busy. But no. They stopped inviting me to hang out. They would ask me to drive them to parties, but not invite me to go to the parties. They basically ghosted me for a while. They were once such amazing and important friends, but they gradually became really arrogant. It took a way longer than it should have to give up and find other people. Dude. The group of friends I gave up on would do this to this guy we know. They'd invite him to hang out only so he could drive us. One time they didn't let him into the club, so I decided to stay behind with him and watch movies at his house. He even had the decency to go back for my friends when the club closed. I'm no longer friends with them, but I am still friends with the guy, and he even helped me get together with my boyfriend. I don't give him enough props, lol. Whenever we were supposed to hang out, something came up, and that something was hanging out with other mutual friends. Yes. My best friend in high school used to do this to me all the time. On Wednesday, I'd ask if she wanted to see a movie Friday night. She'd always say maybe, if I can get out of doing whatever with my parents. Come Monday, I'd hear her talking about how great the movie was. Apparently, last minute her parents said she didn't have to go, and miraculously a group of people called right then and asked her to see the same movie. She'd always say, I figured you made other plans, when I confronted her about it. In reality, she'd just wait to see what the better option was and pick on Friday. Back in my first year of college, I used to have a group of friends, like 7 dudes with me included. We always hang out together, and we're used to have this group chat where we discuss about anything from class subjects to random things. After a year, I noticed that one of the guys, let's just call him Randy, keeps getting excluded. Not invited / informed to group hangout while they're talking smack behind his back. And the unofficial leader of the group actually made a whole new group chat, inviting everyone, myself included, except Randy, without his knowledge. I know what it feels to be left out. I experienced that in middle school, and it's really awful. I stopped hanging out with them and I starts hanging out with Randy. He's quite eccentric but a very good person at heart. We've been friends for more than 6 years. And he still got my back. When I was babysitting her kids, things were going great. We would hang out all the movie nights and just talk and chill. But the second she no longer needed a babysitter was the second I got kicked to the curb. No even a text back. Some people will act like your best friend until they no longer need you. They're lost though. When I was in school, all my friends and I did different A levels. Despite us all having different lessons to each other, they would wait for each other to go to lunch together. But they would always forget me. Like I'd come out and they wouldn't be there. So I'd have lunch by myself. And then they'd come back and tell me they thought I was with them. I was the only one they didn't wait for. I've only seen one of them since we left school. She had forgotten my name. So that sucked. That happened to me. One time my friends all sat at a lunch table that was full, and I was sat on one that was completely empty, and so I asked them to come sit by me and they said no. Those people suck. When I traded in my truck for a smaller, more eco-friendly vehicle, communication plummeted now that I can't haul furniture around, assist with moving as much, dispose of garbage, etc. Some people just use you for the stuff you have, and that is the worst type of people ever. When my phone got stolen and I lost their phone numbers, mine stayed the same. But we just never talked again. When my Apple account got compromised and I lost my backup when I changed phones, I lost all of my numbers. I haven't gotten a text or call from any of my friends since. That was 5 years ago. When they stopped contacting me when I stopped drinking. I feel this. Used to have countless friends. Went out all the time. Lost control of myself and quit. Friends stopped calling. Now I'm a weird eccentric who hangs out in the woods in all my free time. Things are better this way. I have a couple friends who stuck around and the girl of my dreams. That's all I need. When you stop going to the bar, you no longer exist to those who live that life. It messed with my head for a while, but I get it now. I flew out to support a friend going through a messy divorce. While I was there, she left me in the apartment to meet up with her boyfriend that I didn't know about. He turned out to have just been released from prison for manslaughter. Once she told me that, I told her that I didn't want to spend time with him, especially considering the circumstances of my visit. The next night, I woke up in the middle of the night to find him in the living room. She said that she thought it wouldn't matter since I was asleep. The next day, she invited her soon-to-be ex-husband over without telling me and then asked me to meditate their conversation once he got there. That conversation turned ugly fast, and she ended up storming out. He broke down and asked if I thought it was salvageable, and I told him that she had already moved on. Maybe not the best idea on my part, but at that point, she had shown me how vile of a person she is. He broke down and asked if I thought it was salvageable, and I told him that she had already moved on. Maybe not the best idea on my part. No. It was the right idea. You were being a good friend to that guy. When I went through a divorce and was down to difficult period and weeded out all those who friended me for my generosity because I was well settled. Started over and have like 2 true good friends. Undefined. 2 real friends is better than 100 fake friends. Hope you're doing well. I was invited to the bachelorette party for one of the friends in this group. While at the party, I figured out that I was the only person not invited to the wedding. I had been invited to the party because they needed another person to chip in for expenses. What kind of human scum does that? It's amazing what people will do to get what they want because they deserve a perfect wedding experience. After my divorce, we were couples friends, not individually. My wife and I separated and she got the majority of our friends. Almost nobody checked in on me to see how I was doing. Then we decided to work it out and stay together, and now there's a whole list of people's birthdays I don't have to remember. This was also when I realized who were my friends and who weren't. We were supposed to go to a tour and we save our money and pooled them. Fake friends told me they had to cancel the plan because ticket prices got too high. Told me to wait a few days to get my money back. Real friends asked me why I bailed on them, and were worried that I had an emergency. Turns out my fake friends didn't want me to come and instead would use my money for their booze and told everyone else that I bailed out and took my money back so everyone else would give more for their booze allowance. That friendship ended, and I also learned my fake friends were alcoholics and weren't strangers to peeping over people to get what they want. Today one of them is alive. Their alcoholism ruined their lives and some even died from it. Once high school ended, I heard about all the rumors they made up about me. My friends from high school all unfollowed me when I graduated college. I'm the only one who no longer lives in our hometown. Consider that a badge of honor. One friend stopped replying to my texts right after we graduated from college. Like the same week we graduated. So, I was pretty much just a study buddy that they kept close to keep me helping them. This is basically all of the friends I made at various points in college. As soon as we don't see each other 3x a week, they fade away. I get they're busy, but I didn't realize making lasting friendships as an adult would be so difficult. The group made plans to meet and hang out. I was getting ready in the salon. A couple of friends had to back out for some reason. The other friend then made excuses of his own, and I could tell. I tried cajoling him and offer ways for him to go, but he basically decided to cancel the entire group meetup. It was my birthday. Same thing happened to me on my 21st birthday. All my friends made up excuses why they couldn't come. Then the 3 friends that did met some guys and we went back to their house and awkwardly sat around. Happened again for my 25th birthday. I had moved across the country and found new friends, but they all bailed at the last minute. I called my roommate at the time who came out when he got off work, and he called some of his friends who came out, and I had the best night ever. Those guys are now my real friends, and I married that roommate. This is extremely heartwarming after reading this thread. Congrats. Finding out they have an inner circle group chat, but I'm the only one not in it. Something similar happened to me. We were all set to go enjoy music at a local establishment. I talked to multiple people from the group, confirming meeting time. I got there and no one else was there. Eventually they all showed up together. Found out they had been out all day together shopping/drinking, and I was the only one not clued into that part. I had been looking forward to the night but ended up feeling lower than I had ever felt. Knowing me, I would have slinked away like a ghost as soon as I realized and probably never talked to them again. Wouldn't be the first time. I cut out early, even though one gal tried to convince me to stay. I told her exactly why I was leaving. Because I wasn't included in the before. So I probably wasn't wanted for the now. She said she felt bad. Promised things would change. But I pretty much knew it wouldn't. I wouldn't say I have fake friends, but I am definitely the periphery friend. The majority of the time, if there isn't enough tickets or space in the car for everyone to go do something, I'm the one who gets cut out. It doesn't bother me much, but I wish they would be more mindful when talking to me about things we have done. Remember when we went to see XXX? Wasn't that fun? Well, no, because I wasn't invited. In those situations it usually gets awkward, or they say, hey, we would have invited you if we had the tickets, space, etc. This was quite a few years ago. My ex and I were really friendly with another couple. Did a ton of stuff together. Then they moved not far, and fairly shortly after my ex and I separated. They hung out with me for a few months but then stopped calling. A few years later, I ran into both of them at a race, an ultramarathon, and they both pretended like they didn't know me. That was actually a really painful moment. I just posted something similar. When I was married, we were in a friend group with 3 other couples on our street. My ex cheated and we divorced. The group kept inviting both of us to the same events because they didn't want to pick sides. I moved out of the neighborhood and realized they were proximity friends. Not real friends. That hurt. A lot. I've actually come to accept that proximity friends are still a type of friend. A friend for life is a rare thing, and it's okay that not every friend you ever make will last forever. This friend, I'll call her Mary, had kids the same age as mine. We got together for play dates pretty often, and our kids would sleep over at each other's houses for weekends. I liked Mary. We would often visit and talk while our kids were playing. One weekend, her kids had stayed at my house. The older one called her mom to see when she was coming to pick her up. I was in the room, and the kid put the phone on speaker for some reason. Mary told the kid what time she would be there and added, "You had better be waiting outside. If I have to go in and spend the next hour talking to Riverdom, I'm going to be really pissed." We didn't spend much time together after that. Undefined. Did I overreact? Was Mary just having a bad day and not want to talk? And my personal favorite, Riverdom. Maybe you're just insufferable? Here's what happened after I overheard my friend say that to her child. I simply stopped initiating contact and wasn't as available to do stuff for her. When we dropped off or picked up the kids, I smiled and waved. I let the kids make the plans for play dates. I no longer had time to help her with her garden or watch her kids while she went out with another friend. They were into long-distance running, which is not my cup of tea. She never contacted me unless she wanted something. This had always been true, but I had not realized it. The friendship eventually fizzled out on its own. So, I guess it had never been much of a friendship to begin with. I just didn't realize it until she opened my eyes. I was at a party, really depressed after a bad breakup, and got drunk. My abusive ex showed up, caught me somewhere alone and hit me. I begged several friends for help since I was too drunk to drive home alone, and they ignored me. My ex-best friend was there, completely sober, and refused to drive home with me because she didn't believe he would do that. There's no Uber or anything in my country, BTW. The whole thing escalated. One guy I didn't know ended up finding me alone in a field crying and throwing up. Brought me back to the house, built a bed out of blankets for me, and sat guard all night to make sure my ex wouldn't do anything again. What happened after that? Did you find any new friends? Did you get your ex to leave you alone? I moved away for uni and only saw him 2 more times in public places where he just glared at me. I blocked him everywhere. He was kicked from the friend group later for unrelated stuff. I no longer talk to the ones from the friend group that were at the party. I found new friends at uni and met an amazing guy that didn't give off a single red flag during the time I took to carefully get to know him. We're engaged and have a baby on the way. When you lose your worth to them. For instance, you are going through a dark period in your life. Then they just leave like you are a worthless bag of dust. When I realized I was the one always calling. Then I stopped and friends disappeared. I only have one exception to this rule, as I know my friend is a reactive texter and he's got a lot on his mind at all times: PTSD, anxiety, depression and such. I check in on him regularly and I don't mind him being AWOL for a while. He's come through for me and he's a good man. The rest can beep off. I am that kind of person. And you are a good friend. When you try to open up and try to share a genuine conversation about something going on in your life and all they can do is crack jokes and try to get you to go out drinking with them. Made me realize how surface level many friendships really are. Then you have the opposite of that, 3 guys I've known since I was a freshman in high school. Been friends for over 15 years. Have stayed in touch through all of us getting married, having kids, and moving to completely separate areas or the country. Yet whenever we're within an hour of each other we always make a point to get breakfast and catch up. This usually turns into 3-hour conversations. This may only happen once or twice a year. But I consider those guys my best friends. That's real friendship and I'm fortunate to have them. When my longtime friend called me and said, "Hey, can you hang out? No one else can." When I got sober. 7 months today. When they ghosted me after 17 years of close friendship. I still have no idea what I did wrong. And for extra salt in the wound, it was right after I spent a week eating instant noodles because I donated every cent I had to one of them for her cancer treatment GoFundMe. Hurt more than any relationship breakup. They would invite each other to places in front of me and not include me in the slightest. When I ditched them they didn't know how to take it. LOL. When they didn't wait for me whilst I did my shoelaces.